You care too much about people who do not care about you. You feel their pain more than they feel yours. You adjust your schedule to help someone who would not move an inch for you. You stay late at work to carry a team that will throw you under scrutiny the moment something fails. You sit through dinner with someone who criticizes your choices while you nod and absorb it because you were raised to be understanding. You apologize when someone else creates the problem. You explain yourself to people who have already decided you are wrong. You shrink your needs to make space for people who expand theirs without hesitation. And while you do all of this, you tell yourself it makes you a good person. It does not. It makes you feel controlled. Schopenhauer understood what most people refuse to accept. Compassion is not inherently virtuous. It is a biological response that can be weaponized against you. Excessive compassion does not elevate you. It drains you. It makes you predictable. It makes you useful to people who have no intention of reciprocating. And the moment you stop being useful, you become invisible. This is not philosophy for the sake of ideas. This is the mechanical reality of how human hierarchies function. You were conditioned to believe that caring deeply about others makes you morally superior. It does not. It makes you a resource, and resources get consumed. Schopenhauer saw compassion as the foundation of morality, but he also understood its danger. He knew that the same impulse that drives you to help can be the same impulse that destroys your boundaries, your time, and your psychological autonomy. He did not reject compassion, he dissected it. And what he found was this: most people do not govern their compassion. They let it govern them. And when you let an emotional reflex govern you, you lose control of your life. Someone else takes it. This script will walk you through 7 psychological shifts, 7 inversions that will separate how you were trained to think from how power actually moves. Most of you will leave before the 3rd shift. You will feel uncomfortable. You will tell yourself, this is too cold, too harsh, too cynical. That response is proof that you are still operating inside someone else's frame. If you stay, you will see the architecture. You will see how your empathy has been turned into a leash. And you will see exactly how to take it off. Put your phone face down and listen. If this hits you, write, "I am the strategist," once in the comments, just to mark the day your mindset changed. Now, let us begin. You walk into a meeting and someone attacks your idea. Not with logic, with tone, with a dismissive gesture, with a half laugh that implies you are out of your depth. And what do? You explain. You clarify. You try to prove that your idea has merit. You lean forward. You talk faster. You add detail. And while you do that, everyone in the room watches you defend yourself. They do not see your idea anymore. They see you reacting. They see you seeking approval. You accepted their frame. You stepped into their evaluation. The moment you explained, you lost. Schopenhauer knew that suffering comes not from the world, but from the will imposing itself on you. When you react, you allow another person's will to dictate your behavior. You become an extension of their intent. They threw the stone, you picked it up and carried it. That is not dialogue. That is compliance. The person who stays silent holds the frame. The person who refuses to justify holds authority. You do not owe anyone an explanation unless you have explicitly agreed to be evaluated by them. If you have not, your explanation is a voluntary transfer of power. Here is what shifts the dynamic. You pause. You let the dismissive comment sit in the air. You look at the person. You do not explain. You do not defend. You say nothing. Or you say something that reframes them instead of you. Something like, "Interesting perspective." Then you move on. You do not engage their frame. You do not enter their court. You let them sit in the space they created. And now everyone is watching them, not you. They tried to make you react. You refused. That refusal is dominance. This applies everywhere. Your family criticizes your career. You do not defend it. A coworker implies you are not pulling your weight. You do not justify your hours. A romantic partner accuses you of being distant. You do not scramble to prove your affection. Every time you explain yourself to someone who has not earned your respect, You hand them authority over your reality. You let them become the judge. And once you accept that role, you cannot win, because the game was rigged the moment you started playing. Now, let us go deeper. You help someone. You give them time, resources, and attention. You do it because it feels right, because you were taught that helping others is noble. And maybe it is. But here is what actually happens. You helped once. They appreciate it. You helped twice. They expect it. You helped twice. They expect it. You helped 3 times. They resent you when you stop. This is not cruelty, this is pattern recognition. Schopenhauer observed that people do not value what they did not earn. They value what costs them something. When you give freely and repeatedly, you remove the cost, you remove the value, you become ambient, you become furniture. The psychological mechanism here is simple. Humans assess worth based on scarcity. When you are always available, you signal low demand. When you always help, you signal low priority in your own life. The person you are helping does not think, "This person is so kind." They think, "This person has nothing better to do." And that thought, whether conscious or not, lowers your status in their mind. You are no longer someone they reach up to. You are someone they reach down to. And the moment they stop needing you, they stop seeing you. Watch what happens when you pull back, when you say no, when you are suddenly unavailable. The same person who took your help for granted will now wonder where you went. They will start to question your priorities. They will feel a gap, and that gap creates curiosity. It creates value. You did not become cruel, you became scarce, and scarcity is the foundation of leverage. Schopenhauer understood that desire is born from lack, not abundance. When you flood someone with your presence, you kill their desire for it. When you withdraw, you reignite it. This is not manipulation. This is the mechanics of attention. Let us examine approval. You say something in a group. No one responds. You feel the silence. It sits on your chest. So you say something else. You try again. You add a joke. You soften your tone. You seek a reaction. And what you have just done is broadcast your need. You showed everyone in that room that their validation matters more to you than your own position. You handed them power. You made yourself dependent on their response. And dependency is the opposite of authority. Schopenhauer wrote about the will as a blind, driving force. It pushes you toward things you think you want. But most of the time, what you want is simply the absence of discomfort. You do not actually need that person's approval. You just want to stop feeling the discomfort of not having it, so you chase it, and the chase makes you weak, because now you are reacting to their silence instead of holding your own frame. You let their non-response become a referendum on your worth. Here is the shift. You say something, no one responds. You let it sit. You do not repeat yourself. You do not soften it. You do not fill the silence. You let them sit in it, and now the pressure is on them, not you. They are the ones who failed to engage. You are the one who held your ground. Silence is only uncomfortable if you break it. If you let it exist, it becomes a test, and most people fail tests when they are not prepared for them. The person who can endure silence without flinching is the person who controls the room. This applies to text messages, to emails, to every form of communication. You send a message, they do not respond. You feel the gap. You send another. You ask if they saw the first one. You add context. You shrink yourself into their inbox, and what you just did is show them that their attention is more valuable than yours. You are now chasing, and the person being chased holds all the leverage. Schopenhauer would tell you that suffering comes from wanting something you do not have. The moment you stop wanting their response, you stop suffering. And the moment you stop chasing, they start wondering why you stopped. Now we go into relationships. You are dating someone. You feel them pulling back. They text less. They are less enthusiastic. They cancel plans. And what do? You compensate. You become more available. You initiate more. You try harder. You ask what is wrong. You seek reassurance. And every single one of those actions lowers your value in their eyes, because you are operating from a position of fear. You are afraid of losing them. And fear makes you predictable. It makes you controllable. It makes you boring. Schopenhauer understood that desire is tension. It is the gap between what you have and what you want. When you close that gap by becoming more available, you remove the tension. You remove the desire. The person who was pulling back is now certain of you. They know you will always be there. They know you will tolerate their distance. So they stop investing, not because they are cruel. Because you removed the incentive, you made yourself a guarantee. And guarantees are not exciting. They are not valued. They are assumed. Here is what creates tension. You feel them pulling back. You do not compensate. You pull back further. You do not ask what is wrong. You do not initiate. You let the distance grow. And now they are sitting in uncertainty. They do not know where you went. They do not know if you care. They do not know if you care. They do not know if they lost you. And that uncertainty creates fear. Fear creates desire. Desire creates pursuit. You did not play games. You stopped chasing, and the moment you stop chasing, the dynamic inverts. They are now the ones wondering. You are now the one with leverage. Let us talk about work. You stay late. You cover for people. You take on extra projects. You do this because you think it will be noticed. You think it will lead to respect, recognition, and promotion. And maybe it does. But more often, it leads to expectation. Your manager stops seeing your extra effort as exceptional. They see it as a baseline. You trained them to expect it. And now, when you do not stay late, when you do not take on extra work, you are underperforming. You are not even back to neutral. You are now below the standard you created. Schopenhauer would call this the tyranny of the will. You willed yourself to be useful. You wanted to be valued. But in doing so, you made yourself a tool. And tools do not get promoted. They get used. The person who sets boundaries at work, who says no, who protects their time, is the person who gets respected. Not because they are more competent, because they are more expensive. They cost more to access. And cost signals value. You do not have to be the hardest worker. You have to be the most difficult to replace. And difficulty comes from scarcity, not availability. Here is the reversal. You stop staying late. You stop covering. You do your job well, but you do not go beyond unless it benefits you directly. You become precise. You become boundaried. And at first, people will push back. They will guilt you. They will imply that you are not a team player. That is their will trying to impose itself on you. You do not argue. You do not justify. You simply hold your boundary. And over time, they adjust. They stop asking. They start respecting your time. Because you taught them that your time is not free. You taught them that access to you has a cost. Now, let us address something uncomfortable. You have people in your life who only reach out when they need something. They do not check in. They do not invest. But the moment they need help, advice, or a favor, they appear, and you help them. Because you are a good person. Because you care. Because you were raised to be there for people. And every time you do this, you confirm their belief that you are a resource. You are not a person to them. You are a function. And functions do not get loved. They get used. Schopenhauer saw through the illusion of altruism. He did not deny it existed, but he understood that most acts of kindness are not selfless. They are transactions. You help because it makes you feel good, because it gives you identity, because it protects you from the discomfort of saying no, and the people who take your help understand this better than you do. They know you will help. They know you need to help, so they let you, and in doing so, they control you. Here is the correction. The next time someone reaches out only when they need something, you do not respond immediately. You wait. You let them sit in the gap. And when you do respond, you do not rush to help. You assess. You ask yourself, does this person invest in me? Do they show up when I need something? Do they add value to my life, or do they only extract it? If the answer is extract, you say no. You do not explain. You do not soften it. You just say no. and you let them deal with that reality. You are not being cruel, you are being accurate. This will feel wrong at first. You will feel guilt. You will feel selfish. That is your conditioning. That is the voice that was installed in you to keep you compliant. Schopenhauer would tell you that guilt is often the will of another person echoing inside your mind. It is not your voice. It is theirs. And the moment you recognize that, you can dismiss it. You do not owe people access to you. You do not owe them your energy. You do not owe them your compassion. Compassion is a gift, and gifts are only valuable when they are rare. Let us go to the final layer. You absorb other people's emotions. Someone is upset. You feel it. You try to fix it. You try to calm them. You take on their anxiety, their anger, their sadness. You do this because you think it helps, because you think it makes you empathetic. But here is what actually happens. You become a dumping ground. People learn that they can offload their emotional mess onto you, and you will carry it. They do not have to regulate themselves. They do not have to solve their own problems, because you will do it for them. And while you are doing that, you are suffering. You are carrying weight that was never yours, and they walk away light while you walk away heavy. Schopenhauer described life as suffering, but he also described compassion as the recognition of suffering in another. The problem is not the recognition. The problem is the absorption. You are not supposed to take on their suffering. You are supposed to see it, acknowledge it, and let them carry it. Because suffering is how people learn. It is how they grow. When you remove someone's suffering, you remove their incentive to change. You make them dependent. You make yourself their emotional crutch. And crutches do not get respected. They get leaned on until they break. Here is what power looks like. Someone comes to you upset. You listen. You do not absorb. You do not take on their emotion. You stay calm. You reflect. Ik to them. You say, that sounds difficult. What are you going to do about it? You do not solve it. You do not carry it. You hand the responsibility back to them, and now they are forced to sit with their own emotion. They are forced to solve their own problem. You did not abandon them. You refused to become their crutch, and that refusal is what creates respect. This is the part where most of you will resist. You will say, but I care about people. I want to help. And that is fine. But care does not mean absorption. Help does not mean sacrifice. You can care about someone and still refuse to carry their weight. You can help someone and still protect your own energy. The belief that caring requires self-destruction is the belief that keeps you powerless. Schopenhauer did not reject compassion. He rejected the idea that compassion should come at the cost of your own will, your own autonomy, your own psychological survival. So here is what happens when you continue down the path of excessive compassion. You become invisible. People stop seeing you as a person with needs, boundaries, and desires. They see you as someone who exists to serve them. You lose leverage in every relationship. Romantic, professional, social. You become the person people tolerate, not the person they value. You become the backup plan, the safety net, the person they return to when no one else is available, and you accept it because you think that is love. It is not. It is exploitation dressed up as connection. And here is the contrast. When you govern your compassion, when you make it selective, when you protect your energy, you become rare. You become someone people have to earn. You become someone whose time, attention, and care actually mean something, because they are not given freely, they are given intentionally, to people who reciprocate, to people who respect you, to people who add value to your life instead of draining it. And those people will treat you differently, not because you changed who you are, because you changed who you allow access to you. Schopenhauer spent his life studying the will, the force that drives all human behavior. And what he found was this: most people are not governed by reason. They're governed by impulse, by desire, by the need to avoid discomfort. And if you operate from that same place, you will always be controlled by others, by your own emotions, by the social conditioning that taught you to be agreeable instead of powerful, The shift happens when you stop reacting, when you stop explaining, when you stop chasing, when you stop absorbing, when you stop giving your energy to people who do not return it. That is not coldness. That is clarity. You do not have to become heartless. You do not have to stop caring. You just have to stop letting care become a weapon someone else uses against you. You have to stop letting empathy become the reason you tolerate disrespect. You have to stop letting compassion become the excuse for why you have no boundaries. Because the world does not reward kindness. It rewards strength. It rewards scarcity. It rewards the ability to say no. And if you cannot say no, you will spend your entire life being used by people who can. Here is your challenge. Identify one person in your life who only takes, who only reaches out when they need something, who drains you, and the next time they ask for something, say no. Do not explain, do not soften it, just say no and watch what happens. Watch how they react. Watch how you feel. You will feel guilt. You will feel discomfort. That discomfort is your conditioning breaking. That is you taking back power. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes. Until one day, saying no is not hard. It is automatic. It is natural. And that is when you stop being controlled. If you found value in this, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe if you want more. But do not do it for me. Do it because you know this information separates you from people who stay stuck. If this hit you, write, "I am the strategist," once in the comments, just to mark the day your mindset changed. You are not the person who explains anymore. You are not the person who chases. You are not the person who absorbs. You are the person who holds the frame, who governs energy, who decides who gets access. That is not arrogance. That is accuracy, and accuracy is power.